Hello, welcome to Postcolonial Space. I'm Masood Raja, and today I'll briefly offer a slight explanation of the concept strategic essentialism. Now, I had discussed it under the entry in Postcolonial Concepts on essentialism itself, but there were a few questions that were posted by people under the video, and I thought I should address it. Now, the term strategic essentialism is associated with Gayatri Spivak. But that's not where the story ends. It has often been misused as well. And I'll give you a couple of examples of that. But in a 1984 interview, Spivak, while explaining the use of strategic essentialism by the natives under colonialism, had used this term. And the way she uses it is to explain that at a certain point in a anti-colonial struggle, the leaders, the people, sometimes posit a cause, right? And the cause is in the name of a certain group, a certain people, which is imagined as an essential group, right? And that's how nationalistic movements based around ethnicity, religion, mobilize an essentialized sort of national ethnic identity. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Spivak is an essentialist. What she was trying to explain is how sometimes that kind of strategic essentialism can be mobilized and can be effective. But as people used it, they started using it as a stable concept. I once talked to a scholar in Pakistan who had based his entire dissertation on this idea that Spivak posits and believes in strategic essentialism, and he had theorized a strategic essentialized Muslim identity and written a whole dissertation on it. And I just couldn't convince him to think differently, to nuance his argument. Because the problem, as I mentioned in my video on essentialism, is that if you believe in essentialism, then all the essentialist tropes about you, posited and researched and published by the colonizers or the dominant groups, also become true. Now, Spivak repudiates this, alters this, and completely disavows the term strategic essentialism in her book Other Asias. So that means that if you, me, or anyone else is going to mobilize the concept in our writing or in our debates, we have to keep in mind that we can't just simply attribute it to Spivak and then just play with it. Now, it goes without saying that we still use a certain kind of imagined strategic essentialism when we argue against power, right? Any constituency that is being sidelined or silenced mobilizes a politics in the name of that community. Most of the times we imagine the community to be a monolithic group, and our references to that community tend to be slightly essentialist. But what we need to keep in mind and keep constantly reminding ourselves is that whatever we are as a community is because of the place where we live, our class structure, our social structure, our political structures, and there is nothing essential about that. That means that if I am mobilizing the cause of Muslim community in Dallas, I can imagine the Muslim community as this group with certain traits, right? But same me, given another set of circumstances in another world, could be mobilizing in the cause of another community that might have got nothing to do with the Muslim community of Dallas. So what I'm trying to say is that the claims might seem essentialist, might bunch together a bunch of people under general rubrics of what their qualifications are or what are they oppressed about. But we have to constantly remind ourselves that anything that we mobilize is not essential. It's not essentialized. And then maybe we can still employ a certain kind of strategic essentialism. But knowing that it is a strategic use and that the essentialized view of any culture, dominant or other, is problematic, right? Keeping that in mind, I think, is important. So I do not have access to the interview, 1984 interview, but I'll find a link to it and post it in the description. If you find it, do read it, because it's important to read what exactly Spivak says in 1984. And then, of course, read other Asias, right, and her disavowal of the term, her reasons for it, right? I can't explain them here, but read these two in context and then formulate your opinion about strategic essentialism. And the reason I'm saying this is because some of you might want to use it in your scholarly work, in an essay, in an article, right, or in a dissertation. And if you're going to use it, the best way of using the concept is to first research the concept itself, see how it was articulated in the earlier phases of Spivak's career, and how does she revise it or repudiate it. And that knowledge has to be accounted for if you decide to use still strategic essentialism as a theoretical concept or a framework for your writing. So that's all, very brief. I hope this is useful to you. I hope this augments my earlier video on essentialism. Please do watch it. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. I am delighted that you come here and watch my videos and respond to them. Please pass it on to others so that more people can benefit from it. Also, we are still in the pandemic, so I hope you all are taking care of each other. Please continue to do so, and I will now see you next time. Until then, as always, peace and love.